So you got your brew in a bag equipment profile all set up, and now it's time to set up all of your different mash profiles. Since there are different mash temperatures, we're going to want to have a few different mash profiles, and so that's what we're going to work on here. This is what's going to help you hit all your numbers, your mash temp numbers, your volume, stuff like that. So click mash under profiles, and you won't see this. You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff that came with BeerSmith. This part's going to sound tedious and weird, but follow along, and I think you'll understand as we get going that this is actually a pretty easy way of setting up all your different profiles. So go in and select one of the single infusion non-batch Sparge, so double step mash profiles. Copy and paste it, kind of like we did with the equipment profile. So this one is set up as a full body mash profile. And if you look, that's 156 degrees step temp. Open up the one that you just copied and rename it. My recommendation, and at least for setting stuff up right now, is to rename it with a number so that it goes to the top of your mash profile list. And then if you're going to keep that full profile, you might want to put something like full body. And then what I like to do is add the actual mash temp so that I don't have to remember, basically. That's 156. And then click OK. And so you're going to notice that goes up to the top. Now, copy and paste that one 5 more times. You want 6 versions of this one, so that all you have to do is go in and change a couple of things, and you're going to have all of your mash profile stuff set up. I'm going to delete it because I've already done this. So here, these are my brew in a bag mash profiles. And so I'm going to open one and walk you through everything that you need to do for all 6 of yours. So this is my light body 148 degree brew in a bag mash profile. So what you want is leave all of the temperatures alone. We're going to mess with that stuff on the brew day. Your mash properties, just leave it alone. Unless you live way up in the Rockies and your boiling temp is a little bit different, you can change that if you want to, but for the most part, you can leave it alone, that's fine. For every single one of your new profiles, you're going to have to open it up and make sure that brew in a bag mash with full boil is selected. That's number 1. And you can leave this at 5 gallons if that's your volume. Okay, for each one, you've got your name, so you know what your temperature is going to be. You're going to click the saccharification rest step and make sure you change that step temperature to whatever the degree, mash degree that you want there is. So if you've already named them like I have, it's right there. You just add it right there. Now theoretically, conversion takes longer the lower your mash temp is, and so Brad has a 90-minute mash step for 148 degrees, and then I think it's like 45 minutes for the 156, 158 degree mash temps. I just do 1 hour mash for everything. I've never had a problem with conversion. Water to grain ratio, it doesn't really matter. That's going to get calculated depending on your grain bill because batch Sparge is a full volume mash, so it's a little bit different there. So go ahead and go through each one of your mash steps and make sure you change that temperature and select this, the brew in a bag. And once you get all of that done, you're going to have something that looks like this. A setup for specific mash temperatures for your brew in a bag setup. Now, how do you use that? What you're going to do is you can go and design a recipe. Make sure that you select your brew in a bag equipment. If that's all you use and that's your default, good. You should be good to go. I use different types of mash setups, equipment profiles. So make sure you have brew in a bag selected. You design your beer, you know your efficiency, all that stuff, and then go into mash, and you're going to see, like here, that it's defaulting to something other than a brew in a bag setup. For most people, that's going to be one of these ones down here. So make sure you go in and you select one of your brew in a bag settings, your brew in a bag mash profiles. Now, you're going to see adjust temperature for equipment selected. Unselect that. That screws more people up I'm not even sure why it's there. I personally never use it. In the times where I have used it, I've never hit my mash temp. When you're doing brew in a bag, you're actually warming up your mash tun, quote unquote, which is just your kettle, along with the strike water. So it doesn't need to be adjusted for your equipment. So when you unselect that, you're going to see the temperature right here drop. And that's what you want. This is the mash temp you want. The other very important thing that a lot of people seem to forget is that you need to take an accurate measure of your grains, the temperature of your grains. Stick your thermometer in there, walk away for a few minutes. When it stabilizes, come back and plug that number into here. If you pay attention to your strike temp, let's say your grains are cooler than 72, that bumps it up 2 degrees. That's a big difference when it comes to mash temps. So make sure you have an accurate measure of your grain temperature and plug that in there. Your mash tun temperature is not going to matter. Don't worry about that because you've just unselected this. You can leave that alone. You're going to notice that there's no sparge volume, and since there's no dead space in your kettle, that this doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. When doing brew in a bag, what I like to do is, if let's say for example that my strike temp, this is accurate, I'll actually heat my water up to about 159 before mashing in so that I have a little bit of wiggle room for stirring and getting my grains well incorporated. Once you dough in, you're going to put the cover on. I come back every 15 minutes to make sure that my temperature is about right. If it drops to 151 or so, it drops a degree below what my target mash temp is, I'll turn the heat on low real quick and give it a stir for about 30 seconds. That usually brings it right back up. Now, when you get to the end of your mash, when I'm at about 45 minutes or so, sometimes I'll let it go out the full hour. I'll turn the heat on low and start bringing it up to about 70 degrees, 170 degrees, and that's our mash out step. This is an unnecessary part. It just makes running the wort through the grain bag a little bit easier in my experience, so I do it, and it's easy enough. So that's another option you have. And that's how you set up a mash profile for brew in a bag. It's pretty simple. I think the tricks, the things that are going to help people the most is to have a proper equipment profile, which we all should have at this point. Make sure that you don't adjust temp for your equipment, and make sure you measure your grain temperatures. Those are the 3 things I think are going to get you hitting your mash temps every single time and making the beer that you want to make. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm open to chatting with you about your specific setup, and hopefully this helped you out. Cheers.